Hey everyone, today we're talking about becoming knowledgeable. We want to be able to talk about investments in the economy. My name is Isaiah Goodman, Chief Financial Advocate at Becoming Financial. So I've talked a lot about investments, the economy, stocks, bonds, all of these sort of things, but how does it relate to our economy and what you see on the news, GDP and all of that? Well, I want to give you a couple examples today around how you can sort of connect the dots into what the American economy is doing and how it relates to your stocks and investments. So think back, I want you to really understand what is the economy? How does this all relate? If you've heard the term gross domestic product, that's what our nation is producing in goods and services. So every year we hope that it grows a little bit because that means as a country we're doing more, producing more, selling more. Obviously that's good for everybody. Well, when you're thinking about a company and all the companies that are in our economy, the biggest thing they want to show is profit. So how can you show or grow profit? A couple things. Obviously, number one, you can sell more. If you sell more than you did last year, your profit should be a little bit more, maybe in terms of dollars. The actual percentage might not be higher, but the dollars should. The other thing you could do is cut expenses. This one's tough for companies to do, but maybe you can manufacture things a little bit cheaper, or unfortunately every once in a while we see people laying employees off. You see companies saying, hey, we have to cut our labor force because of costs. The last thing is charge higher prices. Unfortunately, this is typically what we see is a couple years into it, things cost more because the companies are trying to at least hold or maintain a profit. Recent example in 2019, the U.S. Postal Service, they raised the cost of forever stamps. It went from 50 cents to 55 cents. That's a 10% increase in the cost of goods. Obviously, they've been operating at a loss, so they're trying to eventually make up for that somehow. Well, what does that mean for you as a consumer? Well, when we're trying to buy stocks and bonds and investments and equities in companies, what we're typically looking for is a profitable, healthy company that's growing. It's kind of like supply and demand. If you see a company that's doing really well, what are you going to do? Invest in it. You want to buy that company's stocks. You want to hold that company as an investment because you think in a year or 2 or 10, it's going to be bigger and better than it is today. Now, if it doesn't quite reach those goals, what does that mean? Maybe it's not looking like the future we've thought or foresaw. People will sell. Well, supply and demand. If people want the goods, the price goes up. If people don't want the goods, the price goes down. A really cool example when it comes to supply and demand is Berkshire Hathaway. It's the most valuable or highest price stock in the entire world. It's owned by Warren Buffett, obviously. Berkshire Hathaway, when we looked at it, was operating at or running for about $312,000 per stock. So the stock price of Berkshire Hathaway, if you want to own one piece of that company, one share, it's $312,000. On the other hand, a company that used to be very famous and popular, but obviously they're going through some things, is Sears. I looked up the price of Sears, 58 cents per share. Obviously, nobody wants that company in terms of holding the company anymore because it doesn't have a future, right? So you can see the difference there. A company that's the highest valued, the most wanted, desired, several $100,000 per share, that's the supply, right, and demand. Whereas a company that's kind of going out of business, their stock price isn't going anywhere. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you're investing in a company, you want the one that's share price is going up and up and up and up over time. How does that relate to the economy? Well, that means that things like inflation might have to happen because companies are trying to maintain their profits so that their stock price can go up. So you have to really kind of play the game. You have to be able to invest and get a 7, 8, 9, 10% return because the cost of inflation might be 2 to 3% per year. So really something to think about as the economy relates to supply and demand and your stocks and investments. They all kind of operate together, and I want you to be as knowledgeable as possible.